Hi, my name is Cary Wheelous. I am the CEO and founder of Hayti. Hayti is the largest Black-owned mobile app for news and podcasts for the culture. And so we have over 100 Black podcasters, over 100 Black publishers, over 2,000 Black podcasters in the US, and we're growing and scaling our business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, man, if this is not in my wheelhouse, I have Cary, and he's going to give us the game on Hayti and talk about how this is impacting and helpful to Black news and podcasters like myself. Even though you guys know I'm an Afro, that's for the African citizenship, American, that's for the American and where I was born, and now Mexicano because I am a resident of Mexico. So you guys, welcome Cary to the show. Cary, thank you for coming on. Tell us, let's just get right to it because we're dealing with Black folks. Hayti, how is this impacting, helping not just the audience, but the podcasters? And if you want to get into money or anything like that, feel free. But you know, our people, they want to hear, cha-ching and some of that bling bling.
Absolutely. So I need to kind of just really take a step back and tell you how this all started. It started by me actually during COVID. I was home like a lot of people looking at more news and watching more TV than I've ever done ever in my lifetime. And what I discovered is that looking at mobile apps like Apple News, like Google News, Newsbreak, and Flipboard, I could not find a lot of content that was coming out from Black publishers. I was seeing all this news, but it was news from all of the major media companies that existed. And I said to myself, I said, let me start counting it. Let me count how many Black publishers I can find. And so I started counting. I couldn't count more than 30 Black publishers on these major apps that existed. And I said, man, this is a problem. For me to get my news is just on social media. I can't get it, using one of these major apps. And so at the same time, unfortunately, I'm based in North Carolina in the Raleigh-Durham area. The grandson of the founder of a local Black newspaper, the Carolina Times, had been around from the 1920s. Unfortunately, he passed away. And the family said they're not going to do anything else with the paper. And I said, man, here we go. Another Black publication is going out of business. And, they served the Durham community for many, many years, providing, the best of what was taking place in the area. And once again, another paper is gone. And I said, you know what, it's time to do something about it. So I started development in 2020. We did a beta launch in 2021. And now to date, I'll just fast forward, we have over 100 Black publishers on the platform. We enable for the first time, as a user, to be able to get all your content from one mobile app. Whether you want news, regular news, sports, politics, business, you name it, we cover it. We pull in content or we aggregate content, just like the news aggregator apps that exist. We aggregate content from Black publishers. Why? Because we want to give them the scale that they need. We want to drive traffic to them, obviously, to increase their revenues. And so that's the end game for us.
Okay, and just so it's clear, because you know how the community can be, everybody and their mama will sign up and then they'll say, okay, now where's the money? How do I make it? You are getting them the ears for the listeners to expand, but not necessarily worried about their CPMs or their monetization. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm not worried about that because I just drive traffic to them. That's my sole goal. When you click on an article inside of Hayti, that particular publisher has their own ads baked in on their page so they can be able to monetize the traffic that we send their way. And so along the way, podcasters actually, I started talking to podcasters. And little did I know, podcasters had the same problem as publishers. They have a problem with getting access or getting promotion or distribution on Spotify, on Apple News, on Google Podcasts. When you look at these podcast platforms, as you scroll through, you don't see a lot of Black podcasters. So I said to myself, why not begin that process? And so 3 months ago, we became the largest, not only news, but podcast app in the nation. To date, we have over 2,000 Black podcasters and growing. And so we do the same thing with podcasters. When you click on a podcast to listen to it, we are an aggregation platform. That particular podcast probably has their own ads baked in. And so we're looking to kind of drive new listeners to podcasts. And so you can be able to get the best of both worlds all underneath one umbrella.
And I just wanted to make that clear because I know, what was it, a year or so ago when Charlemagne did his podcast network, every Black podcaster at every event, hey, get my show, pick up my show. But, now that everybody can have a podcast and we're thankful for that, sometimes, even from the new booties to veterans are like, show me the money if I join your network. And everybody's saying, join the network. It's kind of like in government contracting where when you're dealing with the kids are the money. So people just want the kids, and it's, I don't want to share my kids, even though you got a dope program. So I just want to make that clear and can you tell the people, does it cost them anything to become part of the network? And what are the, the benefits? How are you driving that traffic?
So it doesn't cost them anything to join the network, whether you are a publisher or a podcaster. My goal as a mobile app developer is to drive users to the app so they can be able to find your content that exists, which they can't find, or it's hard for them to be able to find on other platforms. And so promotion, in terms of promotion that we do for our publishers or our content creators, I'll say in total, we actually send out push notifications. We have newsletters that are going out. And so all of that content, from the push notifications that we send out to your mobile phones to the newsletters that we send out, are actually coming from our content creators. So it's an opportunity for you to get front and center in front of, these users that probably never heard of you before. In addition to that, we actually have inside the app the capabilities to highlight popular podcasts, new podcasts that exist. We can be able to do that. As you scroll through our app, you will be able to see categories that you've never seen before in an app. For my brothers, for my sisters, Caribbean culture. So we have a little bit of something for everybody that exists. And so once again, we handle promotion, or we do promotion for Black content creators that you probably won't get on other apps.
And that's a beautiful thing, and it's needed. What is the vetting process? Because you do have these podcasts. I won't say a name while you're here because I don't want to start no beef with you, but my audience knows I have issues with certain podcasts because now everybody is either a philanthropist, an expert on health. Everyone's a multi-millionaire. The problem is I've been in this business for over 2 decades, and I just want to say, stop the cap, as that famous, thing, because we know, especially in entertainment, most of the talent are not good business people. And so you can't be all of these things, and you can astro project and teach your audience. What's the vetting process? Yeah, I'm talking about that guy, you guys. I know you guys, Cary's a nice guy, so I'm not doing that. I'm not going to start any mess while he's on here. But what is the vetting process, or is it for everybody? Do you just have to be, in the words of Jesse Lee Peterson, Black?
Well, you know what? I try not to limit people's voices. My sole goal to build this was to make sure that Black content creators were able to get their voice out. And so in terms of vetting, we do review from time to time, obviously, on the platform. We get feedback from our audience as well. If there's a podcast that's actually on the platform that is saying something, or their content shows up where it looks like believe it or not, we had a publisher that had some AI content. And so, our users pretty much kind of let us know. Our sole goal is to create a platform that exists for the content creators. But at the same time, we have no, we don't feel bad if we need to be able to pull back on some of the content creators that actually have content on the platform, if they're providing content that basically, or information, I should say, that's not relevant, that's not engaging, that's not going to connect with the users overall.
Okay. And that's nice, because it's just so, there's so much good stuff out there, but the really smart stuff, like Diversified Game Podcast, it's not going to ever have where we're not going for sensationalism. It's something that, started with 2 friends who they were friends and fell out and, whatever. And I still talk to at least one of them, but it's like these things can be so organic, but people are always trying to push the limit. And that's part of entertainment, but everybody doesn't have to do that. But there's some great stuff. It's always amazing to me. Someone like Peter Diamandis or Ray Dalio don't even have 1 million following on their thing. And you look at and read their books and you're like, these are the guys that are really, taking things to new limits. But I could geek out with you. I know I want to focus on what you're doing, how can we, as podcasters and the audience listening, support you? Because here you're offering this free service. Now, you might be old money coming from North Carolina. I get it. And I know you have the College Health TV, which is another free service. And you guys can catch that on Roku, and we can talk about that as well. But how do we help you to support this? Because you got to eat too.
Absolutely. And so this is not something that I'm looking to do on my own. This is a combined effort that myself, along with our content creators that are on our platform, we have to do this together. We can't win, this is not a solo trip for me. And so what I tell podcasters as well as publishers is, you know what? I need interviews, I need posts just like you do. The more people that know about Hayti, the more people are going to know about your content, because I'm looking to do the work. And so obviously I provide, my social media pages and graphic information that they can be able to take and they can be able to send out. But in addition to that, oftentimes I see podcasters, and they do this all the time, they'll post a new episode and they'll post the link from Apple, or they'll post the link from Spotify. Why not post the link from Hayti? And so that's a really simple way to be able to get the message out. And what I tell podcasts is a really, really easy thing to do. And I do want to come back to the promotion because of a relationship that I actually just established. And I want to make sure that that actually gets out here too. We have become, Hayti is the official app for the Black Podcasters Association. And so the Black Podcasters Association is a national organization whose focus is strictly on making sure that podcasters have the best technology. They have the resources that they need. They have basically any questions that they have around advertising. All of those things the Black Podcasters Association is working on. And so I'm working hand in hand with them to be able to help a lot of podcasters who basically are struggling, who are, dealing with, like I said, monetization issues, dealing with distribution issues. How can we be able to make that, better? And so I'm working with them to be able to get that done as well. And you can be able to find them inside the Hayti app or go directly to Black Podcasters Association as well.
Got you. Okay. And you guys, I thought maybe he'd say, hey, my Cash App is, since we see that even written on people's cars and everything else. And you got a tip even when you're at the, local pizza place. But he didn't do that. So, is there any big corporations, since you are the biggest in your space right now, that are looking to maybe buy you out, kind of like they did BET and everything else Black folk create? Have they come knocking yet?
They haven't come knocking yet, and I'll tell you that I think that probably I still have some more to do in terms of scale. We monetize the app, just so I'm clear with your audience as well. Our app is monetized with advertising. And so as you scroll through looking for news, as you scroll through looking at podcasts, we do have ads, and that's basically how it is in terms of baking in. So that's how I monetize the platform. But at the same time, I'm open to it at some point. Am I open to it now? I don't know. I think I'm still building, in the spirit of Black Wall Street. And I'll take this a step back too. The name Hayti is named and it pays homage to Durham, North Carolina's Black Wall Street. A lot of people don't know Black Wall Street existed, and there were Black Wall Streets that existed in multiple different places. A lot of people just know Tulsa. Well, before Tulsa, there were two Black Wall Streets that existed. The first Black Wall Street was in Virginia, and the second was actually in Durham, North Carolina. It was called Hayti, and they had over hundreds of businesses. And North Carolina Central University came out of Hayti. The largest Black insurance company, North Carolina Mutual Life, it's no longer in business. That came out of Hayti. M&F Bank, which is, it was Mechanics and Farmers Bank, which is the second oldest bank still in the US, is still in Durham, North Carolina. All of that came out of Hayti. And so I was able to acquire the name. And this name is actually has, obviously significant value. And so I have a twofold approach. My approach is to get the name of Hayti out in terms of the historical significance to the world. But at the same time, I'm looking to save Black media. And that's what I'm looking to do.
And so, and when they join, and because it is free, when you guys go to the website, they'll say something, are you part of the Black Podcasters Association, which I have not heard of that one yet. But, I don't know if is there any benefit when you join Hayti, if you are a part of the organization, do you get any extras?
Yeah, so basically, you actually, a couple things. The first thing is you get a discount for joining if you join through Hayti. There is an annual fee. I believe it's $100 for the year. So you get a 10% discount, and we're working that out with them. And so you get a 10% discount. The second thing is, because the Black Podcasters Association is our partner, as a member, we actually give members of BPA preference when it comes to promotion inside the app. And so those are just some of the benefits that we do with together. You probably know about Afros and Audios, which is the annual, actually they're having their 5th annual conference this year. We are one of the sponsors. And so all of that is wrapped up together with the Black Podcasters Association in terms of affiliation, in terms of getting discounts for conferences and events. But at the same time, as I mentioned, they have a whole entire community where people are connecting, people are talking. There's boards that they've created, and all of this is around Black podcasters to make sure that we can be able to grow and elevate together.
Yeah, and so when you join, that organization, and I'd love to talk with them too, because the question that clients always have, and I have proudly to say, worked with the most followed Black news channel on YouTube for the last 8 years, and it's just a blessing. But clients will always ask, well, if I join this, then do I have to go to the conference, or do I have to show up to a monthly meeting? And it's always beneficial if the more you're involved, the more you'll get. But, when people are building their own empire, they don't always have the time. It's the reason why people like me have a job. Is that conference that I'm sure that you'll attend, is that always in the same place, or is it always moving state to state or city to city?
You know what? As far as I know, it's always in the same place. I know this year is in Baltimore. This is their 5th annual one. I'm actually just finding out about all of this myself, even though we are one of the sponsors. But I'll tell you, as a podcaster, you don't have to commit yourself to anything. You don't have to join the BPA. This is not a forced situation. It's completely voluntary. But at the same time, I would tell you, you know what? Sign up. I think they give you, 30 days free. Get a trial, get a chance to ask your questions, get a chance to, talk to other podcasters who are members of the organization and see the work that we're actually doing together. As I mentioned before, I'm building the tech behind this, but at the same time, I need the help of podcasters also to be able to get this message out in terms of all of the work that I'm doing. In terms of also, I got to tell you this in terms of future, and this is probably a question you're going to ask as well, but we've seen this happen in terms of monetization to keep podcasters alive. Obviously a lot of them are making money from advertising. Some of them are making money from, donations and money that they received. And so as I talk about building the tech, the future of Hayti later this year is to build a support option inside the actual app. So you don't have to go to the other company, if you don't mind, if you probably know what I'm talking about. It starts with a P. You won't have to use that company to be able to get access to dollars that are coming in the door. And so we're going to be able to enable any of our mobile users that want us to be able to support their favorite content creator. They can either hit the support button and have that transaction flow directly to the actual podcaster. So we're looking to build that all-in-one solution for everybody.
No, that's such a great thing. Again, I spoke about it, and you probably thought I was talking in jest, but you had said who your grandfather was. You also have College Health TV, The Power of Free. I mean, there's a book on this, you guys, but can you talk about how are you able to give something? Because I know advertising, and I especially know our community, it's very difficult to just be able to pay that mortgage and that rent and whatever else you have going on with just advertising dollars when you're building something up. Was there any venture capital, or do you have any secret sauce you can let people know? Maybe you're a white hat hacker. I don't want to put anything else on you, but can you tell the people who are saying, I'm trying to build?
So it's interesting. I would tell you, I've been really, resourceful myself.
So Cary, you have, this business, you have the College Health TV, And that too is a free service for creatives. How do you make this happen financially? Do you have venture capital? I want this to be a lesson for those who are building. Like, how do you keep, the mortgage and everything going when you're just giving and giving and giving for, free? Because advertising, it's hard to live off advertising. Some of the biggest companies, they end because the advertising slows down or it doesn't pay the bills. How are you doing this in this, this great thing that you're doing?
So I'll just tell you a couple things. The first is that I've been very fortunate and blessed, been very resourceful as well. I spent a career before I became an entrepreneur in banking and finance. And so I had an opportunity to do some good things with my money. And so I've been able to have it stretch a little bit. That being said, I have not received any investment capital myself. This is all capital that I've put in. My college business, as you referenced, that business basically is a streaming TV service that exists in college, on college campuses, where we provide health and wellness video programming for colleges to provide to their students. We actually have TVs at the Student Health Center, Campus Recreation, and the Fitness Center, where we broadcast news for college students, and that's advertising based. And so the same exists for Hayti. It is an ad-based business. But what I'll tell you is all of the major companies that exist, people say oftentimes you can't make money off advertising, but you can. You obviously have to get to scale. The Googles, the Apples of the world, some of the largest companies, Facebook of the world, they make the majority of their money from ad dollars, but they've got major scale. And so our goal is to scale this business up as big as we possibly can, to get the message out as much as we can. And I tell users also, the folks that are listening, I want you to crash my server. I want to be able to prove that what I did with the money that I've had has brought you a flawless product. And so I want to be able to bring the best. But through that process also, I was able to tap into some additional dollars. And so I tell your audience, if you are an entrepreneur and you're in a major city, you probably have a co-working space in that area. If you don't know about it, find the co-working space. Oftentimes, co-working spaces have free credits from Apple, Google, from Amazon, from all of these tech companies, where they literally give them thousands and thousands of dollars of free credits for entrepreneurs to be able to use. A lot of times they don't use them. I myself, when I started the company, received approximately over $30,000 in credits. Server credits, like I said, from Google and from AWS, from Amazon, to be able to, put out this business and, our CRM system. And so those options exist. And so I highly recommend, sign up for your local co-working space. And chances are they have connections to companies that you don't have. Chances are they can give you access to capital or credits, for that matter, to be able to use that you don't have. And that's what I was able to tap into, in addition to my own personal capital.
That's a beautiful thing, and being able to use those credits. When you talk about server, are you using a Synology unit, or are you on the crackhead of AWS or something like that?
Unfortunately, well, I won't say unfortunately. I am on AWS. They've actually been good for us. We looked at a couple of different servers, but this has actually worked well, and we've been able to scale our business without any issues. So far, so good.
Okay. And I kid you, AWS, Amazon, we need you in our lives because you make it so much easier. But it is, I used to work with Synology, so I'm a little biased because I know if you're able to get past the port forwarding, you guys will have a cheaper, much cheaper road down the line until you get to, hospital level. Yeah. But you've mentioned it, this whole thing, free. And I keep saying that because, somewhere down the line, someone's going to look in the site and say, when are they going to ask me to, for some money? But can you talk about, something else, because my signature question, the community give back that your companies are doing or would like to do in the future?
So I realized that, I look at industry trends as well. And so I saw that Patreon, and I'll just mention their name, I saw that they're doing over $1 billion in deal flow coming through. And then I started to realize, and just like I did for podcasts and just publishers, Black folks in this country, we over-index when it comes to media. We listen to the radio more, we watch TV more, we use our cell phones more. So when it comes to media, we over-index. At the same time, if we're over-indexing in media, where is all of this money going? And and so these companies that exist are literally, it's a cash machine for them. So I said to myself, how about we actually, for the first time, create our own platform to be able to do this ourselves? And so we can be able to give back, we can be able to receive money, number one, but number two, we can be able to give back a higher percentage to our content creators than they're currently getting from the competition. And so I see that as a long-term strategy. I think this content creator space is not going anywhere, but at the same time, it's got to be financed some way. And I realize that advertising, oftentimes for me as a platform, it might work for me as a platform, but it's not necessarily going to work for the content creators on a platform. And so I think what they need in terms of this creator community that exists, this creator economy, I should say, that exists, a lot of that money comes from individuals like you and me supporting your favorite content creator. And so for me to be able to get ahead of the curve, I said to myself, we have to start development on that. And actually, that's something that I'm looking to launch by the end of this year.
Awesome. And when it comes to, this shift of Web3, and that's going to be, a never ending portal till we get to Web4 and 5, 6, and 7 and all that other stuff. How are you positioning yourself? Are you there yet? Everybody talks about, well, am I going to be able to scan my, hand, or, can I then buy and sell my thumbnails as an NFT? But then, it's really what the utility is behind. Will your company, be set up for that? Any plans for anything in the Web3 space?
So I would say, obviously, it's something that I'm tracking, something that we're monitoring. We haven't begun development on anything, but what I'll tell you is that there's still more work to do. I've aggregated news, I've aggregated podcasts. There's some other aggregation opportunities that exist that I think that we want to be able to launch first. We are building a tool, as I talked about, in terms of support, but I'm really taking a pause, and I really, listen to our user communities. We want to get feedback from our users. We want to be able to understand what's actually going to be best for them in terms of the content creators on the platform, but also more importantly, I'll say for the users, in order to keep these users active and in order to keep them engaged. Oftentimes we want to get, we get responses from them all the time via email and, on app stores and everything else. And we want to understand what works for them. And so we will build what they actually want. And so I think that they're really going to be able to dictate in terms of the future of Hayti, in terms of the service offering that it delivers, and also the platforms or that we eventually launch in the future.
And, right now, everything is about how many users and how many people. And somebody right now will say, well, Kellen, do they have 100 people on there? Or is it 100,000? And it's like, once it gets to 100,000 users and then 100,000 podcasters, if you're not all the way up there with your audience, you might want to catch it fresh. So just for the numbers, people, do the podcasters and publishers always know how many people are on the platform? And is there any analytics that you share with them?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of Hayti. Hayti makes it really, really simple for you to be able to add your content to Hayti. Number one, we tell you, go to the website, hayti.com. There's a link for podcasters. There's a link for publishers. And it all comes back to the numbers, the analytics. People want to know how much traffic I'm going to give them. And I tell people, we are no different than the top companies. So for the publishers that exist, they would use Google Analytics to be able to track the amount of traffic that we send them. For the podcasters that exist, whatever platform that they're using, there is an analytics tool where you get a chance to see where your listeners are coming from. Hayti is no different. We're going to show up in your analytics so you can be able to see where your listeners are coming from, whether it's Hayti or whether it's another platform. We will show up in your analytics. And so it's a seamless process where the podcaster doesn't have to do a lot of work to get on board. It's really more us doing the work to be able to promote them and to be able to get the amount of users to drive them to their particular platforms that exist. But in terms of analytics, we show up in all of the analytics platforms that exist today.
And I know somebody's saying, Kellen, but ask them how many. No, I want you to go sign up. Go sign up, go through the process, and we can save that for the book or even for another show where they run out of material. But I don't run out of material. I got game for days. And Mystery always has you guys thinking. Let the people know, they can download it on the app, but also if there's any, other special events that they may be able to catch you at, maybe they can come on the farm with all the, the acreage. If there's anything else where they'll be able to tap into, because this is something big our people want to support. But it's just there's so much distraction out there, right. And we have to keep pushing this. So are there any other big events, book that you're maybe writing on, just talking about the power of free, the Black edition? But let us know, please.
First of all, I love the title. As I mentioned, for us going into this last quarter, as we begin this process, and ending out for this year, our sole goal is to work on a couple of things, as I mentioned, the development of new technology that we're building inside the app. We actually had we did a summer social event where we sponsored a summer social event along with the Black Podcasters Association in New York. We did that this month. And so the next big event, as I mentioned, is going to be in Baltimore, Maryland. If you go to afrosandaudio.com, you can be able to see it is the 5th annual conference for Black podcasters. We will be a sponsor at that event. And so we'd love to be able to meet you there, have a discussion with you so you can be able to learn more about the wonderful work that we're doing at Hayti.
And I have to ask, just because I could not find it when doing research, and it will inspire or it will have someone say, oh, okay, well, that's what I need to do. Are you a coder? When you went to your education, is computers your thing? I mentioned earlier, I don't know if I got cut off when it said a white hat hacker. He might have cut me off, y'all. That's, Cary might have been involved in that. Like, hey, don't talk about Alpha One either. I don't want to talk about anything. I don't want to hear Pirate Bay. But like, what's your background, education wise and skills wise?
So basically, came out of majored in business and finance. I was so far removed from technology. I've spent over 20 years in banking and finance, working at companies like Morgan Stanley, Deutsche Bank in private banking, had a chance to travel overseas, but at a certain point in time, I wanted to be able to do something different. And so I came out, and when I came out, I got involved in media. So I am a tech entrepreneur because I got involved in media, but I started to learn that all of these platforms that exist today primarily are not Black owned. And so I didn't want to create any more content. I have content with College Health TV. And I said, it's time for somebody to actually build a platform that we can be able to own, that we can be able to control, because this is actually a really, really important point that I'm actually glad you asked me. And this is really the reason why I also developed this. The algorithm that exists on all of these platforms is for the majority. And so I said to myself, what we're going to build is an algorithm that exists for Black content creators. And so I have a great tech team. I monitor everything. I don't write code. I don't read code, but I review everything. I test everything. And I brought all of my skills from banking and I've transferred them over as much as I possibly can to the tech world for me to be able to build and to be able to do the work that I've done.
And then last question is, we say podcasters and publishers, is it only audio or maybe even PDF supported? Or, now with Anchor, AKA Spotify, you can upload your video and and even YouTube, is it video supported as well?
So it is not video supported today. It is audio supported. And there's some challenges with video when it comes to pulling in YouTube content. It's something that I started, but we have to kind of scale back with Google. We want to be able to have that video as well. And so I'm working through that, but it's a process to be able to get that done. Obviously, video is going to be a lot more engaging than audio, but right now we are primarily audio podcasts. And the video that we do have on the platform comes from some of the publishers that kind of create some of the content, but the video that they have exists directly on their websites.
Well, Google, you're smart over there. That big thing that, again, another company that we need to make our life easier. Instead of trying to go hire a whole team and have a Black edition, why don't you call Cary up and say, let's have a conversation? Because he could be that department where he's already done the work for you. Because, you know, kind of like Zillow, and Zillow, I mean this, you guys get it wrong 100% of the time when you try to tap into Black people. You know, spending $100K on a ski trip in Colorado doesn't move the needle for us. But that's inside information. You guys have been blessed with the game. Cary, let them know one more time where they can go download it. Team Apple, Team Android, it's all there, correct? Give them the game.
It's Team Hayti. You can go to hayti.com, or you can go to your Apple or Google Play Store and type in Hayti, Hayti, to be able to download the app. Kellen, thank you so much for this interview. I appreciate your time, and it was great meeting you as well.
Blessings. Y'all, make sure you share this game with somebody. It will change their life. Be blessed.
Hi, everyone. Have you ever been curious about visiting Africa? Which African country were you interested in? Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, South Africa, Ethiopia? Which country are you interested in? My good friend, Kellen Cash Coleman, came up with a course called My First Trip to Africa that'll guide you through this process. It's only $20, and in this course you'll learn about passports, visas, vaccinations that you need before you go there, as well as a budget, how much the trip is going to cost. He also talks about what you should pack, what you should take with you, how you should travel on a budget. Did you know that $100 is worth 1,000 South African rand and over 10,000 Kenyan shillings? So imagine what you can do with $100 back home. I say back home because I'm from Sudan, I'm African, I already know how it's like. I know that, you know, when you convert Canadian and American money, it goes a long way when you're traveling across Africa. So if you're curious, if Africa is a place that you've always wanted to go, always wanted to move there, Kellen Cash is the person to ask. Check out the course. There's a little preview you can listen to before you actually purchase it. If you're interested in this course, visit www.diversifiedgame.com. Don't miss out.
Are you tired of the violence, tired of the injustice, police brutality, rampant discrimination, lack of gun control in this failed biased socioeconomic experiment called America? Or maybe you need a break from the relentless grind and want to regain control of your destiny, your wealth, your health, and your purpose. DiversifiedGame.com has the right course for you. Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Looking to reconnect with your roots, start a new business, or just a fresh start. Africa, aka the motherland, is waiting. Don't let the Chinese and the Mzungus have the fun and also take over the motherland. From Cairo to Mombasa, from Dakar to Cape Town, Africa has something for everyone, from business opportunities to the most amazing people, safety, leisure, and landscapes. The opportunities abound. It is time for the diaspora to reconnect with their roots. Time to reconnect with the birthplace of humanity. Africa is the last frontier. Get your head in the game and reclaim your legacy. The writing is on the wall. Babylon is falling. Give up the stress, grind, and violence inflicted on our people on this continent and prepare for a journey of restoration enjoyed by connecting with the land of your ancestors. Check out our new course and kick off your adventure at diversifiedgame.com.